Hi everyone, and welcome back to Connect. We are in the second part of our series Kingdom Stories, and we're looking at the parables of Jesus to try and understand something of the kingdom, whether that be what the kingdom is like, what the expectations are for us in the kingdom, anything that helps us understand what we are praying for when we say, let your kingdom come, your will be done, when we are saying in Belfast as in heaven. So we're journeying through these various parables. Today we're looking at the parable of the talents. Again, a very, very well-known parable to us. Let me tell you a little story. It's the story of two painters in a village. And the mayor looked around his village and thought it just needed beautified a little bit. And so he approached two famous painters within his village and he said, here is a bucket of paint each. I would like you to go to one of the many walls within the village and just bring some beauty, bring something that helps beautify the village. And so off they went. The first painter, he found a small wall and he began to paint. And he was meticulous, he was reserved, and he was conservative. He was terrified of running out of paint and not being able to finish what he wanted to do. And so he only painted a small square on one of the walls. Beautiful as it was very small, and his tin was nearly still full after it. But he put the lid on the tin and job finished. The second painter, well, he went and found a wall and he looked at the paint, he looked at his brush, he looked at the wall, and with energy and vitality, he started to paint the wall, and paint was flying everywhere. He was doing his best. He was doing what he could. And actually kids were coming along and he got the kids involved. Other people were coming along, and he eventually had so many people of the village involved in the painting of this wall. When he had finished, the paint tin, well, you would hardly have known there was ever paint in it. It had been used and fully poured out. When the mayor came to inspect the walls, he commented on the first wall and the first painter. And he said, you've been very meticulous, and indeed you've painted what you've painted, but why is there so much paint left in your tin? Couldn't understand it. Then he came to the second painter and he commented on him, and he says, truly you have poured it all out. You have done all that you could have done and more. Not only have you beautified this wall, but you've added vibrancy and excitement to the village. He proceeded to give the second painter much more paint and a much bigger wall. What we do with what we have been given is really important. What we do with what God has placed within our lives is vitally important. And the parable of the talents teaches us that. It reveals to us that we've all been given something. Now, it's actually realistic. It says some people have more than others. Some people have 5, some people have 2, some people have 1. Our responsibility isn't how many talents we have, how many things we have in our lives. Our responsibility is what we do with it. That word talents, it means actually money in the original. It was a certain amount of money, but it speaks not just to money. It speaks to anything that God has given us within our lives. It speaks to our resources, our time, our abilities, our gifts, our talents. It speaks to all of those things. James 1:17 says, every good gift comes from the Father of heavenly lights, with whom there's no shifting and change. So everything good in our lives is a talent. It's something that God has given us. And the challenge that we have within this parable is that not only what we do here, but there's coming a day that we will stand before the Master and give an account for what we have done with those talents, what we have done with our time, our energy, our resources, the things that are within us, our gifts and our abilities. We will give an account for that. Now, we're being told that story so that we don't get surprised when we get to the end. We've got an opportunity today to make a difference on that, an opportunity to recalibrate, an opportunity to rethink how we're living out our lives, an opportunity to consider what it might be like when we stand before the Master. 2 out of the 3 of these men who received various amounts of talents, they received, well done, good and faithful servants. I don't know about you, I want to be on that end of the spectrum. And it is interesting that to some he gave 5, to some he gave 2. Do you know our responsibility isn't how much we have, it's what we do with what we have. And again, that's vitally important. And so, as we talk through this parable in our groups, we'll look at various things, we'll bring out lots of different things, I've no doubt, in our groups. But here's where we need to get to the challenge eventually. What am I doing with what God has given me? What am I doing with my time? What am I doing with my gifts? What am I doing with the resources that God has given me? Is my current state of affairs and the way I'm living my life, is it something that I'm happy to hand to the Lord and say, here's what I've done at the end? Or is there a recalibration and a rethought needing to happen? Am I playing it safe and keeping paint in my bucket? Or have I opened up the bucket and poured it all out? And at the end, being able to say to the Lord, here it all is. And hear him say, here's some more paint. Here's a bigger wall. Enjoy your discussions tonight. God bless.